What's up? What's up? Your boy Bach. Another video. Man, this should. I don't know how long it's gonna be. I always be wanting to say it should be a quick video, but nigga, I never know. So I don't even know why I be saying this shit. But just to get into it, I always like to give preference to before I kind of start talking about or diving right into shit. But I was talking to Zahi about Drake being soft. Cause I was just looking at NBA YoungBoy and I was just watching him, express himself in his own form and in his melodic ways of how he expresses his pain and stuff like that. And I was laughing. I was like, Drake used to do the same thing, but niggas used to call him soft. And it's funny because what Drake pain might be from, which would be like would be with like his parents and stuff like that, the stuff that they went through with that, and the relationship problems that he went through as he got older. His life, of course, he wasn't rich or super rich or anything, but he might not have had the exact same pains as other people, maybe seeing their friend die or go to jail, which he said he talked about that too in some things. But even for just saying like we'll differentiate people pain in the sense of, oh, he talking about women, so that shit's soft, versus him talking about shit in the streets. It's like, bro, them niggas go through street shit with women. I mean, the street niggas have women problems too. And it's a lot of songs that niggas express that shit too, but just because, like I said, they didn't do it the same as Drake. And even if you look at Kanye, Love Lockdown, 808s and Heartbreaks, I can't think of anybody else before Drake. Drake might have been the person that started in a sense, but it's always been niggas talking about females, bro, and how somebody did them wrong. I don't give a fuck what nobody talking about, bro. I can't just sit up and reference each one in songs, especially maybe from the 90s or anything like that, but I'm guaranteed, bro, it's there. And even if it wasn't, that's fine. It's fine, but I know it is, bro, because, nigga, women is, for the black community, everything, especially in the 90s when we was, it's hilarious how I say when we was, fuck, I hope not use that word, but it don't even matter. But, like, in the 90s, y'all know we was, what do you call that word? Degenerating women and shit like that, but degrading women and things like that in the 90s, but they also was glorifying them too in the same sense. It's just all aspects, if you want to look at it in, as a form of spirituality, and looking at how Bobby Hemming talk about the whole energy and shit like that, and how we glorify it now still to this day with the strippers and shit like that is only getting bigger and bigger. The IG models and things like that only getting bigger and bigger, and of course they're not a hoe, but they're using that sexual energy of that P word, promiscuity or whatever the fuck. Just being, feminine, extra feminine and open with it. That's that whole qualities of, I forgot what goddess, but yeah, there's many goddesses that have that whole property, period. I mean, we can see it out here today. But go back to kind of like American God too, how she get her energy from sex and stuff like that too. That's just one aspect of the woman, not the whole aspect of them. So like I said, we were degrading them in certain aspects. We was also raising up certain aspects of them in that same sense, just depending on how you look at it. And it's kind of going to my whole conversation of traditionalism of glorifying a woman versus the modern way of how we were doing it kind of in the 90s, and even still a semblance, still kind of doing that to today, on how it's still glorification, but right now this will be considered degrading versus back in the day when we technically shunned them and made them, they couldn't dress up and things like that. That was the right way to treat women. But even then, that would be considered degrading and wasn't free. But it's like, it's funny how, well, of course, the oppressor come to oppressor, you overcompensate back to the other side. You go from this super traditional way of going about things to this freestyle-like approach about it. And of course, like when we go to this new way of doing it, in a sense, people look at it as wrong. But at the end of the day, when we look at the true spiritual properties of it, like I said, it's still raising up the aspect of a woman that needed to be raised up because it was suppressed for so long. It's just like a couple that's never had sex before. Once they get married, they're gonna have, I would assume, more sex than as a couple than a couple that's been having sex before they had got married, because they already been having sex type shit. And of course, that's just because you've been holding out with each other. So now y'all gonna have the sex that y'all been, you're going to overcompensate for the things that you were doing. So it's not balanced either, in the sense of people like I got the thoughts of, oh well, well you should do marriage like that all the time if you're just going to lead to that spark of energy, in the sense of, if you waited so long, now that you do it after, it's still overcompensating of what you've been waiting to do, which is cool. It's a way to build up your energy, and you understand that there's a magic in that. Don't get that wrong and get that twisted. But like I said, it's a form of magic in that. So it's like I said, we try to make religion out of art, and it's just understanding that it's different tools and ways to go about things, but don't make that the fixated way. And hopefully I get that point across throughout this whole video. But I just see how that narrative kind of comes up a bunch. But like I said, what was I talking about with glorifying a woman and the certain aspects and properties of them. Like I said, now it's just it's that same shit we doing now. It look frowned upon. Oh, and then overcompensating for sex, that spark and all that. But like I said, it just go from how we view things, and like I said, it stemmed from this whole Drake conversation. Like I said, is he soft? I personally don't think so, obviously, because like I said, he's just expressing himself. And like I said, if you look at if you was to walk, and I use hood niggas, but it's not just hood niggas. Like I said, it could be either let's use hood niggas as the form of traditional niggas or traditionalists, because there's traditionalists in all arts and in all cultures and all religions. So the hood niggas in my example would be a traditionalist, because if they see a nigga rapping or a freestyle in a battle rapping, I'm like, man, that shit hard. But if they look at the origins of where they come from and see a nigga practicing poetry on a stage or anything, just practicing poetry, I'm like, look at this soft ass, gay ass, weak ass nigga. It's like, what the fuck what is this nigga doing? This soft ass nigga. And that's how a hood nigga will look at things. It's like, bro, it's still the same form of representation of I'm expressing art. And I made the same, bro, nigga. This hood ass battle rapper is no different than the battle arena, bro. He's expressing himself, and if you look at, I just laugh. If you look at all hood niggas or the traditional way of thinking, bro, a nigga will laugh at you for almost doing anything artistic, bro. Like, a nigga could play you for playing a piano and at the same time glorify James Brown. Like, if a nigga seen you in the hood playing and practicing the piano, like, I'm not saying every hood nigga, but you know, like, if it was a group of niggas and they walked past the classroom while you was in the art room and they seen you practicing piano, like, what the fuck this nigga doing? Look at this nigga, like, what the fuck this piano? Even if they joking and shit, like, sometimes they could be joking, sometimes it could be for real. But like, if they see a nigga playing the guitar, like, what the fuck this nigga doing over here? If this nigga don't get his fucking I can't think of a nigga that a soft ass nigga that play guitar. This nigga don't get his Prince ass the fuck up out of here. Like, niggas that just start playing you, bro. And that's just the traditional way of going about it, because in the form of, from the hood niggas tradition, rap is hard. Their form of poetry's always been hard and really showed the pain on his sleeve type shit, versus poetry kind of being wordy, being slick with it, being sometimes invoking even more emotion than normal. But yeah, that's basically like I was saying. I got distracted from a text message, but yeah, it's the same thing if you was to look at a dude from painting. Like, if they seen somebody out there doing graffiti, like, look at these ghetto ass kids doing this ghetto ass shit on our houses. But then if Picasso came and painted fucking Mona Lisa on the side of their wall, they'll be so fucking grateful. You feel me? So it's like even like I say, it's you have those traditionalists in every form of art, and it just show how we make religion out of art. And my whole point of it is, I don't know if we're trained to be this way from our religions, and that or art imitates life. So art imitates our morals, or how we view art imitates our morals. So in that same sense of what I'm saying, I'm not sure if we're trained to be like that, or is it something innate in us? Because what was my other point? The traditionalists. I can't think of the other point. But like I said, I don't know if it comes from our religion, or is it something that we create, because it's just something in us, and that's just this, whatever. But now that kind of a brief intro, I gotta get better with my intro and timing, bro. Well, maybe I don't. Maybe I don't know. I guess this is not the intro anymore. Maybe I'm in the middle. Maybe I'm just not aware of what this is anymore. But yeah, I was trying to start off an intro. Now I'm 10 minutes in. But rapping music is a prime example. People create art, that's infinite, and try to put a cap on it. Instead of seeing what can be added, they look at what made it great and try to stick to it. Uh, And I said, basically, like I said, what people do it all the time. The traditionalists will be so in love with the original form that they don't want to see the new version of that, or a different version of that, or evolutionized version of that. So they admire the tradition or that art so long, the outlines, the boundaries, the shades, the lights, the so much different things that you can look to in a picture to get expression out of it. Same with movies, like the tones they use in the movie. They might use a certain tone over the whole, like not even, they may use a certain set of tones over the whole movie, and that certain tone may be depressing, even though them niggas was at the fucking skate park or doing adventurous ass shit. But the fact they had a negative tone over it may be leading to, what do you call, foreshadowing in the end of the movie, or maybe just foreshadowing how that person really was feel. They was making something happy, but since it's a naturally depressed person, they put depressing tones on a happy movie. Like just little things like that, where when you look at a picture, it's so many different forms of expression. So when I look at this painting, I see everything that this person did from, and that's what's even crazier. We look at all the different forms from, like I said, every little detail. And even though that artist might not even have that in mind, we'll start seeing that detail and be like, oh, this what this was thinking, or that we'll make it up for whatever reasons. But these artists may not even make these certain tones, and like I said, not even noticing these things. And the reason I say it because like a lot of great shit was freestyle, a lot of great shit was improvised. So when they did it, they wasn't just coming up with strict rules and guidelines to make this work. And that's today and age. The great example is music. For example, not everything, but a lot of music that's microwave is formulaic and has a certain outline, like beat hook, beat hook. I mean not beat hook, hook, verse, hook, long hook, like sometimes whatever. I'm just saying, like it's mostly based on just keeping your attention type shit, and that's cool when it comes to having catchy, hot microwave music. That may be the formula for that style of music. But when you look at just the form of making music, period, you can't expect all artists to create music in that way. And like I said, that's how we kind of create things. Like some artists will do something great, and I fucking hate this word, but I love it so much because like I be putting so many pieces together. I didn't have a great example of how I can express it, but with my brother, like my little brother got a scholarship. If you guys didn't know, I'm happy for him, super happy for him. But one of my biggest things that I was mad about was like these colleges will offer one kid 60 different offers. Like one kid got 30, one kid have 30, 15, 40 offers. And it's like, bro, he probably got top 3 schools. Why are these other schools still giving this kid offers? It's like, what are you doing, bro? You're just wasting time. And you're also you're not doing these other kids justice that have talent. You just looking for other teams that like this person, and you piggybacking off of them. You might not even really did any scouting, but just because they're on their board, we're gonna put them on our board too. And it's like we live in a piggyback ass society. I was just talking about that with sports, when a team will, like this Warriors or the Spurs, will come up with a traditional way of winning, and then that's the new tradition until that way is beat. And it's like that everything has its time and everything has its ways of flowing and shit like that. I'm not saying okay that like it's always 100% bad in a sense, because sometimes some people just learn a new wave, but it's like, are you following the wave? This is just I guess my little point. Are you following the wave setter, or you're understanding what the wave setter is doing and trying to start finding your own waves or shit like that. But the reason I just say that is just because in basketball you can see how a team can use another team's method and easily be as good, but you're still gonna be behind in certain methods, and that's what I was talking about on that video too. But in that same form of or that same train of thought, like what was I saying? People piggyback hard. I was talking about what made me talk about my brother though. Fuck, in schools. Piggyback. Oh, so somebody will make a great form of content or a great way of doing certain things, and then people, like I said, look at that shit hard and then try to piggyback and make that way of life the new paradigm until something can eventually break that paradigm or that distraction or that trance that you were in on that fixation like that, because you had you had a certain view or perspective on it, and you got entranced on that perspective, and it took something else just as more popular or more powerful to break that trance so you can open up again. So for the most part with religion, there won't be somebody to really change the paradigm of how people look at religion till they have another figure that is Jesus-like. And even then, we already seen what's the problems with there being a Jesus-like figure in this world. So they probably will never happen again. That's the whole paradox in that shit. But yeah, man, I was just getting deep into it. Like I said, just the piggybacking thing. I was just thinking, like, just going deep. But just come back to my points that I did, right? Because I got lost. What can be added? We think about what need to be. Okay. Do I need anything else to say about that? Like I said, we look at what made that great and find ways that we should stick on to it. We found informed boundaries of way that artist created that thing, and like I said, that artist might not even create it with those dynamics in mind, because a lot of things we create come from the subconscious. It's not something we consciously are doing, even from freestyling or even some things that we say. We like, damn, I didn't even mean to say that, or how did that come out? And it's like it had perfect time. It had all these different things, and that just come from subconscious. Also understanding the same thing your conscious mind do, and your subconscious just sometimes seep out past the conscious, and it just you be like, damn, I ain't in control of it. But yeah, like I said, people do that with anything. But everything, let me read this. Everything flows like I said, everything flows, and it's supposed to like it's supposed to. But the biggest thing is just showing the behavioral traits that we have and how we make religion out of art. But the reason I say everything's supposed to flow how it's supposed to, this goes back to music. The big reason I say people really call Drake soft is because they basically didn't want him pushing the new paradigm, of breaking the new paradigm of how people view rap. Like I just said, people get fixated on that way, and it has to take a very powerful being, or like I said, a very powerful being to break that paradigm. I mean, Drake was one of those beings when it comes to the musical paradigm. Same with Kanye. Kanye influenced, Drake to even go harder as far as like making that type of music, and then Drake influenced other people to go harder. And you see Drake had a 10-year run, and that's what it took for people to be comfortable to be doing it. So we can have NBA young boys, we can have niggas like Tory Lanez, we can have Bryson Tillers, 6 Blacks. Like, and the reason I say niggas like Tory Lanez because this nigga Tory Lanez literally raps and then have a whole singing album. Drake's never even done that. Drake said he want to do that when he's 35. He can't even do that yet, but he has opened the doors for other niggas to be able to do that. It's funny, he opened walls, but people would still call him soft if he made a whole singing album. And nigga be like, oh, that nigga ain't rapping no more. That nigga fried. But a nigga like Tory Lanez is creating success off of that. And just imagine if he became one of the biggest rappers, like, or even bigger than what he is now. Just say he did get into that top 5 lane. I know people that do consider him to be up there. It would be hilarious that Drake couldn't even make that same shit, but Tory Lanez can do it, and he literally got the shit from Drake. Like, but the fact that Drake already has these, a lot of people still have fixated views on how he is that you can't change You can't change. It's hard to change your religion and your perspective on it, on his art. That's limitless. But other people, like I said, you like I said, Kevin Gates do it. Anybody call him soft because the way he do it is different. But it's the same shit, bro. It's the same shit. You can't tell me it's no different, bro. You can't tell me it's no different, bro. He may even be worse than Drake when it comes to it, bro. This nigga almost every song fucking loving you, squeeze you. I know I fucked it up, but that's all his songs, bro. He always talk like when I talk about the being in love with the female principal, Kevin Gates go hard about that shit just as hard as Drake. Like you can't say he don't. Like when it comes to the music, bro, like he got his gangster shit, bro. Drake got his bars too, but Gates go hard about the female principal, period, bro. I don't care what nobody say when it comes to that. But yeah, it's just funny. Like I said, people piggybacked off of what Drake did, and it's nothing wrong with it. Everything happens for a reason. Everything flows for a reason. But people tried to stop Drake from being great and pushing the wave. So imagine if Drake came 10, 15 years before that. It wouldn't have been his time because just rap wasn't at that age. Rap haven't evolved yet. And the reason I say that is because we have the traditionalists, and then I can't really think of what's the other thing to say, so I'm just going to say rebels. And they both have their properties. They both have their principles. And like one couldn't exist without the other, and that's when we get into understanding how deep this religion should get into us. That's why I'm like, bro, is this based on religion, or is it based on, are we just in the good and bad paradigm of polarity? Like, but I believe it's more than polarity, because if you go into multiple, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. It's gonna be probably a long video after I was thinking about all this shit, but So he came at the right time, because if he would have came too earlier, it wouldn't have been great timing. That's just as simple as that. He would have been considered an extreme rebel to the traditionalists at that time, and it's cool. The reason I say everything flows out is supposed to, because the traditionalists was they seen what made it rap pop. So they're like, look at this outline, let's keep it like this. And that worked for the next 20 to 30 years. Let's just say the first dudes was the hippity hop, and then 5-6 years after that, it kept evolving. But it kept evolving in that same kind of that same kind of frame, in a sense. And I mean, even then, I can't even say that, because we had, when you call people, love to be like, oh, we ain't have degenerate rappers then like we do now. It's like, no, you had those people then too. So I can just like, I can't say for a fact we had the singing niggas like we do now, but I'm gonna assume that these niggas didn't come out of nowhere and it was them too. But you could probably be like, they were just R&B niggas then. But then that's just like, why are we separating R&B from rap? But that's a whole nother conversation maybe. Which I had not really. It's really into that same conversation. I wanted to kind of bring up how rap come from blues, rap come from rock, and that's why you see these rappers want to be rock stars still to the day. We have rappers that's basically blues people. We can also say how rap and country is intertwined, and that's why we have, bro. And as I said, the tradition. Damn, that cat Scripe so cold with it, bro. It's like a Bengal almost, bro. It's like. It gotta be a male, bro. How, like, I don't know, bro. It's the reason I know, because it's like I got girl cats, bro, but his stripes are just like different. I feel like it could be a girl, bro, but it looks like a male cat for sure. And it's like, it's just more strong built. That nigga like a little Bengal, bro. How like his stripes just be popping, bro. But I was just saying how we could do country rap, all the different shit. But the traditionalists build the foundation, and then the rebels, the so-called rebels, add to it over time, because the rebels technically, they like body blows they like body blows to your foundation, and they only make you stronger, because it's like, okay, all right, if I got hit there, I need to put a guard up here or guard up here, and the rebels kind of pick apart what you need to fix, especially if you understand the rebels reasoning, because the rebels not coming out of nowhere. They exist for a reason. So if you actually listen and build with them, you can even create faster. That's why I say that the traditional rebels, they need it. And it's just, if we get out of that religion of good and bad, and they start to come together even better, like if if they start to come together even better, who knows what we can create. But then that vice versa argument is, would have Drake had the same motivation if people was trying to help him? You know, because niggas kept calling him soft, niggas kept calling him weak, so he was even pushed. It's like when you tell a kid not to do something, or they are this, they amplify it. So it's like when you tell him he couldn't be that, he dug deeper into himself and was like, "I'm gonna show you," type shit. So it's like the battles kind of be needed. That's why I say I'm not down in the traditional way or the rebels way. Just understanding. Y'all gotta exist together in a sense, but it comes from like I said, a lack of religion. Like you can't have God without the devil, and people always hate me saying it. I've said it so much, it's like it's natural understanding to me. But a lot of times, if I was to say that to somebody that's super religious, like you can't have God without the devil. You can't. God and devil are brothers, or God and devil or secret lovers. I'm just being funny, but yeah, you can say that because. If we look at the traditional battles through our religion, man versus woman, Adam's good, Eve not, or is Eve good for taking a bite out of wisdom, and Adam's the traditional guy that wanted to stay stuck and afraid and scared of change. Like, there's many ways you can look at it. When you bring up those conversations of Adam, because everybody's a philosopher and they don't know it. So when we get certain stories told to us, we start philosophizing. We start becoming philosophers in our subconscious and coming up with many different scenarios on why different things may happen or how it could happen and stuff like that. And we do that all the time. Like from when you go into a movie theater and you think of worst case to good case scenarios, it all comes from subconscious shit of why you think these things. But like I said, you're a philosopher in a sense. That it comes from that same philosopher mindset of when I say when you're in a movie theater, it comes from that same philosopher mindset. I know it's not the exact same shit, but when you think about going through scenarios and things like that with being in that present moment, think about all the books you read, all the times you put yourself in shoes and had imagination on how those things can work. And if you have a good imagination, that's when it seeps into your consciousness. But a lot of people, that shit stay tucked into the subconscious for whatever reasons. But what was I saying? The subconscious versus the conscious. We are philosophers at heart. So when you hear Adam and Eve, you automatically pick sides because you're already supposed to be like, what's good, what's bad. And that comes from even innate getting whoopings. And that's where whoopings come from. Your parents trying to teach you that there's a lining, that if you cross that you may jump off the cliff. If you pass this boundary, you may fall off the cliff. So nature have those same boundaries, nigga. So it's like I can't say is it like, because like I said, art imitates life, but our life is shaped from our environment, and we created from our environment. We're products of our environment. So do we make a religion because that's what our environment teaches us to do? And that makes the most sense, because that is the truth. Religion, we have cycles, and like I said, religion is strict, or it is not strict, but it has a schedule. It's a clock, and nature is a clock. So that's maybe where we get the religious state of being from, and maybe religion is an animalistic form of being. Bars right there. Because it's the only way of thinking, bro. And we see animals do ritualistic shit to a point where they're not even in control. They migrate. They're not even in control. And it might be realistic. It is for a good reason that they're realistic. I mean, ritualistic, because it's the seasons and they have to flow with certain seasons, because everything's a clock. Like I said, religion. So it's so clockwise, so drone, like that's what they want us to become too, where we migrate to whatever information or wisdom they tell us to for whatever seasons that we need to be entrapped for. And it makes sense to me. Maybe it's hitting home for other people, but that makes sense to me. But it's like, that's where my question comes from. Why do we constantly make religion out of art? Why do we constantly restrict our limitless, our infiniteness? And it's like, I get it, to understanding and to grow wisdom out of that, because if we just kept moving through our infiniteness, how could we ever understand that we were infinite? I get it. I get it. I know that was kind of complex, like, but if you think about it, if you keep moving, if you never stopped, how would you know that you're moving? A little paradoxical shit like that. Um, so it's funny how deep you have to go to break down shit, but it has to be broken down. It has to be broken down, and like I said, we can start building up after everything gets broken down. But man, this is a hard video. Like, not like hard to make, but this whole go hard. I mean, bro, I just deleted another hour and 30-minute video to create this one. I'm like, bro, I can't hold off on this one. And I'm not about to, I could have just put it on the computer and let it download. But I was like, bro, if I put it on there and make another video, that's gonna be on there forever. But it could have been a quote. It could have been an archive. Whatever. I got slugs for days. I got bars for days. But yeah, all this shit gonna, when it all falls down, it's gonna all fall, man. Because we have to break it down, and I'm here to help do it. Best believe it, cuz. But yeah, man, like I said, religion is animalistic, and why do we capitalize our infiniteness? Like we said, the tradition has its reasons, the rebels have its reasons. I'm not gonna get caught up into what's good, what's bad. So that's why we end up getting capitalized and create little religions. But it's like, understand that thing. Understand the magic in religion, and understand, oh, this religion is for me to create and truly understand this season or this version of what I am, or this whatever I'm going through. I need to truly look at my life. I need to truly meditate. I need to truly whatever, pray on it, whatever you want to call it. Because when you do that, you're able to fully divest in that world and kind of get the ins and out of the worlds the best you can. You're not gonna always grasp everything and then move on or make a new paradigm or whatever. That's how I kind of look at it. That's why we have religion, because it's like going to school for a semester or two. It's like taking classes. Like, that's where classes in school come from. It's religion. Because it's training. Training is repetition. Repetition is clockwork. Religion. So it's like, that's how we learn to form education. That's how we learn to form all these things, bro. It comes from animalistic shit. And it's crazy, bro. It's crazy, man. How animalistic we are, bro. And all our natures and our morals. We just think we so smart. It's fucking crazy, bro. We're literally just animals, bro, doing more animalistic shit and thinking we're just so evolved with our church and our temples. All we did was build trees, nigga. These niggas, like, bro, because even then, bro, it's just how life is, bro. These buildings that we have, bugs and birds, like, they creep into the cracks and everything. Like, they treat this shit just like a tree. They don't see that shit no difference. That's how I know we just built the tree house. Literally. Tree apartments. Tree condos. That's all we did was mock nature, bro. It's a fucking hilarious. We did our best version. And then it's even, like, bro, when I look at, like I said, bro, I be getting messages from shit when just looking at shit, bro. Because nature is us. So when you watch nature shit and you understand what they do, you get our shit. Bro, from the bottom of the tree, niggas live at the bottom of the tree. Niggas live underneath the damn tree. Underneath it. As far as animals, I'm saying niggas, but animals and insects. To the motherfucking eagle being at the top of the nest. Being at the tippy top. I'm like, bro, what's the condo or the tree? I'm like, obviously the top, it obviously got levels. It got the level 1, level 2 to the animals and the bugs that they go. Some go higher than others because of whatever reasons. There's different shit in the atmosphere for whatever. Different particles that touch this part of the tree versus other parts of the tree. Whatever, more sun, whatever. There's many reasons that they may go higher than others. Some need more sunlight than others, whatever. But the eagles sit at the top of the tree. That was the condos. And, you know, it's other animals out there, hawks and shit like that. It's just funny, bro. It's just, we build condos or caves, whatever you want to call it. But everything, like I said, art imitates life. Life imitates the environment. Like, our lives imitate the environment we come from. And we think we're so different, bro, when everything is based off either, like I say, the stars, the sun, and the moon, or animalistic natures, bro. Earth, bro, it ain't nothing more complex than it. Like we think, like, I say that because we think we're so much smarter than it, but we're literally just in that paradox of it, of animalistic nature, and I haven't really seen anything breaking out of that. Like, of course, the thought processes of showing it, like us breaking it down right now, that's the closest I've seen. But besides that, bro, we glorify being animalistic. And it's funny because that's the same shit we say that we're not anymore. We love to say we're not animals. So it's like the same shit we run away from, we are. It's simple. It's simple, bro. But let's just keep going, man. Cause I'm basically on a rant, bro. But it all paradox. I mean, it all paradox. It all correlate. Let's see. Finish that. Let's just go back. Everything flows how it's supposed to, of course. But it's just about looking at the behavior traits. But yeah, like I said, man, everything happens where we're infinite and we have to capitalize just to grow wisdom in that season. That's it. We have to slow down sometimes just to take a breath. We have to rest. We have to sleep. Like, that's our version of. I'm not gonna say that's our version, because that could be misleading. But our idea of what sleep is versus what being awake is how you will look at capitalizing infiniteness. And there's better ways to explain that, but like I said, when you look at Beerus, or when you look at Goku and all these niggas, they're 6, 7, 800 years old. So if they stay up all the time, bro, it'll get draining. So Beerus' biggest thing is he be sleep for like 40, 50, 60, hundreds of years. And he has to sleep because he's infinite, bro. You're going to sleep for a long amount of time. You're going to be capsulated. Like right now, how we feel like we've been stuck in religion for forever is because that's how important, I guess you could say, this chapter is of infiniteness. Like, this is all really philosophy right now. Just trying to expand the mind and how we think, honestly. But let's just keep going. Cause only reason I stopped it just because I realized how when you start philosophizing so much, you can start leaving, like you can start going everywhere or losing people in a sense because, like I said, for whatever reasons, bro. But let's see, what's the next thing? We have traditionalists, we have rebels, the same arguments in religion, new versus the old, but both have purpose. Like I said, I already said this, but just going back over it. But you can't have one without the other. It gets into what's good, what's bad, and people build a cult off these ideas until they become religion. Yeah, it's simple. It's that simple, bro. I had some other stuff to say, but it's not coming for the most part. But like I said, man, it's new versus the old. It's the same arguments. Old Testament versus New Testament. Traditionalists versus the rebels. Good versus evil. Can't have one without the other. You can't have one without the other. So, let's see. Interesting thought. Yeah, well, I think that's about it, man. I was just trying to recap some shit in my head, but I think that it wouldn't have made sense for the most part. Or it already basically summed it up. Let's see, man. Oh, yeah, let's just wrap it up that way. I was just trying to figure out how to wrap it up. Well, yeah, man, don't get lost in being fixated, and don't also get lost in being fixated. Oh, man, this word's a paradox, bro. Oh, we breaking it down. You just have to be comfortable with what season you in. That's basically what I'm saying, because Like I said, don't get comfortable with being always trying to get fixated on certain shit because it has problems and flaws in that, of course. But then, like I said, don't get depressed when you capsulated on one way of looking at things, or when you can't get out of a relationship, or you can't get out of a certain situation. You're figuring it out, bro. That's what you're doing at the moment. You keep going through it because you keep figuring it. You keep trying to figure it out. Maybe you might want to try to figure it out faster, but at the end of the day, like I said, you won't get Drake until that time is needed, bro. And you can correlate that to Jesus or your soulmate or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But I'm really just talking about yourself. You're not going to get that breaking paradigm until you're ready for it. And I said, Drake 15 years too early, he wasn't going to hit like he hit when he came in the 2000s right after Kanye. And right after, who else was in that time? Not, either Kid Cudi or, what's the other nigga name? Lupe Fiasco. One of them niggas, I can't remember. But they always kind of in that area of melodic and shit. Drake just pushed it to another level. So, yeah, like I said, don't get depressed when you kind of capitalized. And for me, switching jobs, because literally got fired from Chili's and worked at Blue Bayou for like 3 months and was sick of that. And then going to Olive Garden to be a cook because I'm just tired of serving, which I was tired of serving before Blue Bayou, but I had to take whatever I could. But literally, I could get lost in like, bro, I know the book. I know it's about the grass not always being green on the other side. I know ain't no job gonna get better and shit like that. I could get lost in that. But bro, I'm figuring it out. Trust me, I understand. Switching jobs is not gonna change me and how I hate jobs. Like, I'm not gonna find a job that make me like it. I understand that. And it's not really much I can change about myself to do that. That's how much I also understand. Like I said, if you wanna be the boss, like me and my boy Mac, I say, you wanna be a boss, you gotta if you wanna make the rules, you gotta be the boss. And that's the thing that I'm working on the most. And I see it, bro, when I'm in these corporations, bro, and I'm working for these people. I'm seeing things that I would and would not do, and I'm eating that shit up, bro, because I'm like, I wouldn't run my business like this. I wouldn't run my business like this. I wouldn't run my business like that. That's cool. I might do shit like that. I can fuck with that. I like that. And it goes, like I said, it goes deep, bro. You're training to be your best version, bro. And I just, like I said, I love this world because so many things correlate. I think about so much shit, and then when I make a video, it comes out, bro. But who are they talking about? Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr. They said he was the player to assistant coach to GM to analyst until he came a head coach, and then he became a superstar coach and won a couple championships. And he ain't won at every level type shit. But it's like he was great at each level, but now he at this level, and I was just thinking, like, bro, he probably was an analyst because he might have struggled with the naysayers or something like that. Maybe that's not what I mean. Maybe that's the reason he wasn't as great as a player. Because, you know, you be in your head. People be in your head. When they say people renting room in your mental space, when you hooping and you playing sports, when niggas be dropping the ball and missing shots, they thinking of all the naysayers and they letting them naysayers get to them instead of saying, oh, I'm about to prove you wrong type shit. And maybe he had problems with that. So when he got into the media, he was able to see, oh, this is just a game. They whatever. He started seeing the ins out of media, and he was able to become a head coach, and then teach his players how to deal with media, teach his players how to deal with every phase of the GMs and everything, because he used to be a player, and he understand how it is to be treated as a lower level player, and then by the head coaches, by GMs and all that. Then he became a GM. So now he know how to it's so many different things that he learned that which shaped and molded him to be a great GM. I mean, a great head coach. And I'm just saying that from that nigga might have even been a dishwasher, and that shit got a little bit of good tweak into why he's a good fucking head coach. And I'm just saying he might have cut lawns as a little kid, and that gave him a good reason that might be a good influence on why he a good head coach, because he was working hard as a kid. Now he work hard he was taught to work hard as a kid, and now he's still working hard as a youth. I mean, as he got older. And that's the same thing for each and every one of us, bro. Each job and everything, bro, it should be and it could be lessons for you to understanding how to grow yourself and cultivate and do better for yourself, bro. It's that serious, and I understand it. You don't even have to see how I see it and understand all these little things affect this. and how all the little pieces add up. It don't even matter because he might not have never even realized it. All that shit could have been subconscious learning, and eventually he just kept pushing through, and once he got to the head coach and shit, because we like a computer, bro. We just absorb. Like, I know when we get older, we feel like we're done absorbing shit, but bro, you're still absorbing. You're just usually absorbing the same old shit because you put yourself in certain religions and spaces that you keep, seeing the same old shit. So you just keep cultivating that. Versus when you're younger, you're so everywhere and you absorb everything in a sense until you get burnt enough to be like, oh, let me cut off some spots. So, like I said, so until you start finding certain boundaries and make a religion, until you get older and older and you keep getting cut and burnt certain places and you keep coming in more and more and more, whatever, cutting off more and more and more. That's gonna be good and bad. Many videos about that too, but about how you get stuck in your ways as you get older. But just thinking about how we constantly absorbing, and like I said, we're like a computer, and that database can easily be opened up when you come into a new experience or new questions. Like if somebody, it could be just going to Steve Kerr. I don't know. It's using anybody, bro. It really don't matter, bro. When you just start asking this person questions, like usually their mind might not be fixated on these different thoughts because they're in different places of their life now, but they still went through it. And when you start opening up these things, for instance, I remember this old lady, 90, 100 years old lady. She used to do ballet. She used to dance or whatever, and she's a quiet, docile lady, as you could tell most old people are. And once she seen a video of herself, she started to open up, and you could see the light in her. And that's kind of what I'm saying, in a sense of where you can open up certain things that's been lost in people or that we don't. Because we forget so much shit, but it's not even that it's forgot. It's just lying dormant in us. And I said, trying to think, bro. I may never play football again, but I could treat so many of the aspects that I learned from football and things that I do now. I was thinking like if I may never be a dishwasher for anybody again, but understanding how that position and role was important and things like that still translates. And it's just, that's basically my point. But why did I even get to that? Why did I even talk about Steve Kerr and basically just being well-rounded over time? The subconscious comes out because of that coldness inside of us. Wrapping it up. I was wrapping it up. Don't get stuck. I know. Don't get stuck in the bullshit. It's goods and bads. Be in a moment. Oh, switching jobs and stuff like that. And it's like I said, yeah, we be wanting to get fixated. Like I bet Steve Kerr was like, yeah, I just want to. After being a coach and retired, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a GM forever, or I'm be maybe not an assistant coach forever. Maybe he had aspirations of being a head coach, but maybe once he got to an analyst, like, okay, well now I'm done. I'm gonna be an analyst forever. Like, it's just saying like things constantly changing and flowing, and for different reasons. Cause we're infinite, bro. We're also chaotic beings, period. And the way we learn and the way we go about shit, so weird. But it's the way that's the way we have to do it, I guess. But like I said, we learn and go about things for many different reasons, bro. And like I said, for me, I could be down because I understand that I haven't got to that next stage that I would say in life as far as like money-wise, it's just materialistic-wise. Because spiritually, that's not the problem. But and when I say materialistic, not even look down on down on materialism, but just understanding that until all this shit fall down, you do have to have a certain amount of chickens lined up in your basket, or you gotta have a couple eggs in the basket, my nigga. At least a couple. You don't want to have no eggs in the basket. You be out here assed out. But that's just the way this world works, and just trying to operate in the world the best as I can. You need materialistic, you need shit just to move on. or just to honestly be comfortable in this bitch. Cause that's it. Why are we seeking comfort? That's also funny. I'm like, why did you bring that up, nigga? I'll tell you. My mind. But no, I was because I was saying Drake. If Drake was comfortable, would he ever become Drake? And I was like, if I get more materialistic shit, I'd be more comfortable. Then I might not be Drake. Then I might not ever be get my Drake on. You know what I'm talking about? Well, everything has its purpose, bro. Like I said, there's a time to rest. There's a time to, because honestly, bro, if you look at our people, we've been putting in work for more than 400 years. That's what they tell us now, but we've been putting in work for a long time on this planet. It's about time um, we get pampered. You feel me? And that's just a part of our nature too. And always about materialistic shit, but it's also about understanding the work we did put in. Like spiritually, materially, whatever the fuck. We've been putting in work, bro. We've been tending to this motherfucking garden the best we can. And right now we're chopping the weeds down and clearing paths. And like I said, we chopping down the weeds and clearing paths, bro. What? Me losing my points. Don't judge me. Why are we clearing the fields, y'all? This is why I never end up putting out my videos, because I feel like at the end I start getting like this, but it's just me wrapping it up. Y'all can cut it off if y'all wanted to. We just, like I said, wrapping it up. Making sure we safe about it, making sure we strapped out here. But, damn, I was saying we clearing the paths. We clearing the paths. Fuck, man. Fuck, man. Fuck, man. Why, bro? I just wish I could pause and rewind and start over. I'm gonna build an app where it's gonna come into manifestation that will happen like that, bro. Cause, editing, bro. Like it'll be even cold. Like you wouldn't even have to edit as much if you could just pause, start over, and cut from there. I know Android. No, Android you can pause and start over. Like you ain't gotta keep the video running. But damn, bro, why did I say we clean the paths? Oh. So we can start putting our jewels on, bro. Cause we've been working so hard, bro. We've been tending the garden, and we did get a little behind on the tending for the most part, but I ain't even gonna say for the most part, bro. We've been tending this garden. Were we the best croppers at all times? No, we wasn't perfect. Shit still running now. But nah, just like I said, we that's why I be losing my points. Just being funny in my head. But it's about time, bro, that we start crowning ourselves and putting jewels on. And I know all the rappers and shit do it, and they just an example of what we're heading into. It's like I said, I feel I be on my J. Cole shit hard. Fuck the materialistic shit. Fuck all that shit, bro. But when you really think about where it's coming from, it's a need to want to do that. It's a need to want to pamper ourselves. It's a need to want to spoil ourselves. Why? Overcompensate what we've been through. And sometimes overcompensating ain't bad. Like I said, I ain't the good, but what's good, what's bad. I just know there's a reason for everything. I just be trying to find the reasons to understand the magical properties and shit so I can learn how to use the magic for myself. And that's what I hope you guys be understanding from me when I'm trying to philosophize, whatever the fuck the word is, and trying to open you guys' mind. There's magic in religion. There's magic in the good and bad, but it's being used against us for the most part. So once you understand the foundations, you can start to use the shit for yourself. So I may say shit is good. I may say shit is bad, but it's after I've broken down the paradigm and the pyramid and tore down the weeds and cleared the field of good and bad and start to have my own version of what I know too. Like I said, it's a more of a holistic version of it versus being stuck on one way of looking at it type shit. And that goes to a point that I missed completely because I guess it was irrelevant after I made up that we make a religion because of it comes from human nature. But the reason I was just saying it because that's monotheistic ways of how we view art for the most part versus if we were more polytheistic, forgot the word. But if we view life with multiple gods, we would most likely create art and look at art a lot differently. And I think we'll be better off as humans that way and as cultures that way. But then again, that's just the times that we're heading into. Maybe not where we came from back then. The shit that we were going through, it was best to have one God. I mean, we wouldn't, like I said, we weren't strapped enough to have multiple gods. We only could my nigga Jesus only could carry a stick and the clothes on his back. He couldn't carry too much luggage with him. He couldn't carry too many people with him. He only had 13 disciples or 12 disciples with him. He wanted to probably save the whole world, but he knew realistically these 12 were about the only ones I'm going to really be able to reach, and maybe that 12 can reach the other and keep going and going like that, which that was his whole purpose of his disciples and shit, and having disciples. He was trying to make them like the next versions of him. What do you call it? Their predecessors or whatever. But obviously some failed him. Well, all of them technically failed him, but some failed worse than others, obviously. Well, like I said, because back then you used to get burned at the stake. So if you were big, if you had a lot of light, it was easy to get shot down because the masses were so strict or whatever. So it was probably good to just, like I said, have one God, because like I said, moving solo was the better way of looking at it, versus now we're going into this pampering phase of our life where you can be polytheistic. You can have the luxury of viewing things multiple ways versus like back in the day, nigga, if you look at things one way, that can get you fired. Like if you don't see it my way, it's the highway. Now you got to be a little more liberal than that. Even corporations got to be a little more liberal than that. They still will treat you like shit, but they got to be a little more liberal. This is because of what we heading into, because people understand their power more and more and more, so you can't treat us like shit like they used to. They slowly had to build laws and different things to protect us, because we was like, bro, what the fuck is going on? We're 12 getting killed in the fucking industry, bro. What the fuck? Just to build a Ford car, bro? Just to keep the oil pumping? No. My 12-year-old son or my 12-year-old self should not be working at this age and dying at 22 because of lung fucking cancer. But we had to slowly make rules into where it's more liberal now, and they care about the employees a little more. I'm not gonna say they care hard, but they like to make it seem like the family environment. They try to fake it till they make it for the most part, but that's because of what we're heading into. It's not my way or the highway anymore, because it's the multiple versions, multiple perspectives on everything, way of life. So that's abundance. And that's what we're heading into, bro. And like I said, that's why that was just to sum up me and myself and feeling about attracting more materialistic shit. And I hate to say materialistic, but that's just, like I said, understanding where we came from. We couldn't have anything, because if we were seen with shit, even with a book, you might get hung. Like that's how, like when like I say, I can't be mad at monotheistic because everything was for a reason. You can't have polytheistic would be Drake of my example from earlier, my analogy from earlier. You couldn't have Drake back then during monotheism because that nigga would have got hung, bro. Like, and I'm saying polytheistic, like you couldn't have multiple books, like you couldn't, like I don't know if y'all hearing me, bro. If it was my way or the highway. So if it wasn't about abundance then, bro. Like, I just don't know if you're hearing me, bro, but if you had any type of, like, I don't give a fuck if it was a book, I don't give a fuck if it was called singing, I don't give a fuck if it was called playing, that good day might turn to a bad day because these white people caught you. We still today with that, but it's a lot more liberal now. Nigga be barbecuing, nigga be laughing, police pull up. The fuck? Now imagine back then how that used to happen all the time, but it wasn't the police. It was the neighborhood white boys that known for hanging niggas. So that's when I say we had to be monotheistic. We couldn't be too open. And like I said, man, that shit was for its time, bro. And it worked. Thank you for it. I'm not gonna demify it, but understand. Don't get stuck now that we're moving out of that. It's time to get up out of that. Understand where we came from. It's time to get up out of that. Nothing wrong with monotheism. Nothing wrong with it. Understanding? That's where we came from. Not where we headed. Maybe it could be a future we got to go back into for whatever reasons, good or bad, but I'm telling you, we're going into abundance, and that's the difference between polytheistic. And, bro, they killed the Indians, the niggas that was polytheistic. I wonder how many other civilizations they killed that thought like that. Oh, the Africans? Egyptians, the Kemets? All the African religions? Polytheistic. Wiped out. Only religions that's even around is monotheistic. Why? Why are them the only ones around? Because that's the way of life we had to go into. They was cutting down on our space. We had to go down like Wakanda and be tucked off, bro, and then couldn't have even then Wakanda got multiple tribes and shit. But imagine before they were cut off from the world, how many more tribes they had that were just as cold as all the tribes that was in there. Or imagine before they were cut off, how much they would thrive, how much more they were thriving because they had more land to build with and more resources to use. When they got cut off, they just went to their cave where all their resources was and built from there because it was them and their resource, them and their God. You had to be tucked with it. You couldn't be spread out. You couldn't just be like, oh, I got my cave over there. I got my land for my farming over here. You're like, bro, what is my most prized possession? These motherfucking what the fucking the stones and shit they use for Black Panther, the vibranium. What's our most resourceful thing that's gonna help us get through our struggle? This damn vibranium. Let's build with this vibranium. Let's build our shields and all our foundation around this vibranium because we don't have it anymore. It's over. That's the end of us. And once they kept building with the vibranium, once they got strong enough with their vibranium, they start opening up more and coming out more and coming out more. Till they become polytheistic. I'm telling you, brother. I'm telling you. And I said, bro, they had to get down to their one resource because they ain't have the luxury of having multiple resources. Because if you protecting multiple resources, what that mean? You got niggas in different spots. You can easily be separated. And that goes deep, bro, because you can be separated just because your defenses are split. But if we look at it from the spiritual, the mental side of it, you can be split just because, two different things. And there's space to be split in the middle for however it may happen. And now it's divide and conquer. So you had to go to monotheistic because you couldn't divide it if it's just one. That's why we all had to come together. That's why we always preaching come together. That's why we always was preaching monotheistic, because we had to be one. If we were one, they couldn't break us up. But now that we became one again, now it's time to start procreating with that one and creating other versions from that. And now you get 1, 2, 3, 4 polytheistic, nigga. That's how it's supposed to work. It's just like anything else in life. Start with one, the chicken or the egg, and then you get infinite. Don't ask me. I didn't create this world. I'm laughing because how the fuck you get one from infiniteness? And it's like, bro, if you watch this nigga break down some numbers, it's a video on YouTube. If he break down 0 through 1, there's an infinite amount of, I'm going to do this and I'm out. I ain't built this world. I ain't built it. Oh, I fucked it up. 0, 1, 2. All right. Y'all can see that? Where we at? 0, 1, 2. He was basically saying, I know this sucks. One day I'm going to have it all set up. Just work with me. But he basically saying 0 through 1 has an infinite amount of numbers. Because all you can do, you can keep adding 0 in front of the decimal. So you can eventually, between 0 and 1, you got a bunch of ticks. I don't know what those fucking ticks are called. But then you get to 0 and 1, and you can keep adding 0 in front of that 1, in front of this decimal, and keep placing the decimal further out. And you'll never basically get to 2 because 1 is infinite. And that's numbers for you. So like when you have a decimal, like decimals basically are like infinite. So with decimals, you can't have another number. It's just 0 and 1 because there's so many spaces in between 0 and 1. And then I guess that's how you get the other numbers because there are different versions of 1. But I don't know, bro. It's just how, like I said, we had to be monotheistic. I got deep with it. I tried to get mathematic with it, but we got monotheistic for a reason. It was useful. Now it's time to go into our abundance, and we're gonna see that multiple perspectives will be most needed on everything. If you want to be in any field, you better have multiple perspectives or multiple ways of doing things, or multi-dimensional. You better not just be one way, one track, because it's like, even at your job, why would they pay you to do one job when you're capable of doing at least 2 or 3 different jobs? And that's physical work, not actually mental or spiritual work. Like, as far as that's what a company, how they use you. You're going to be doing multiple jobs. You're going to do a little serving, you're going to do a little cleaning, you're going to do a little bit of hosting, you're going to do a little bit of everything because you can. So the best believe, if you're a running back, you better be able to catch out the backfield, you better be able to block out the backfield, you better be able to run down the middle on 3rd down. Same as a quarterback. Same as receivers. Like, there's many versions of receivers. You don't, like, as a basketball, it's better to look at basketball. You better not just be a nigga that can drive. You better not be a nigga that just can shoot. You better be a nigga that just can't handle. Like, you can just handle or just pass. Like, you gonna need all that. Because that's what we're heading into. We heading into well-rounded people because, like I said, they're not just one thing. They're not just the 3-point shooter. They're not just I talk about being what makes a great leader. They're not just spiritual, they're economic, they're a therapist, they're also a friend. Like, you're going to have many caps on when it comes to these different, if you want to be the best at the best, bro. It's simple. But if y'all hear me, man. It's been 1 hour and 7, and I got to go work out. That's probably why I've been stalling. Let's make another video here. So they got not trying to work out. But I'm out, bro. Deuces.